It's lovely, that. Dandelion and burdock, I think it is, isn't it? Organic. In a Starbucks cup. That's my favourite cup. I know it's a Christmas cup and it's only June, but no one cares, do they? Right. I'll put that there. Hope I don't knock it over. So the West Island Way. Just come back yesterday, and I wanted to do a little bit of a review of the stuff that I took with us and why I took it with us, and if I did it again. Oh, it's getting quite warm actually. I might take this off. Oh, my Italia top. Check that out. Italy's playing today. Forza Italia. I'm gonna put that there. This is an old-fashioned top from the 90s, I think it is, when Kappa used to sponsor them. No, it's not rinsed in sponsorships, is it? It's just an Italian flag, Kappa on the side, hole in the back. That came with it actually. No, it didn't really. So I thought I'd do a review on the stuff that I took at the Highland West Highland Way, and whether or not I'd take it again. And I just thought it might be a bit useful for you. Now, you've probably noticed that this rucksack is probably bigger than your house. And that's because I'm an idiot, and two, I took far too much stuff. But what I did was I paid the baggage carriers, because there's sort of like baggage carriers, a bit like the Sherpas on Everest, but not as hard done by, because they drive around in vans. But yeah, so I took more than I should have, because I thought I'm going to give some of the stuff to the baggage carriers. But I'm going to take you through what actually happened on the trip a little bit, because some bad stuff happened and then some good stuff happened. So I'm going to start off with the stuff that sort of wasn't in my rucksack, which is my boots. So these are the Quentua 500s, as you can see, and they're quite worn now, but I still think I'm going to get a few more trips out of these. I bought these from Decathlon in Ibiza, but anyway, you probably get them from Decathlon anyway. Actually, no, I think I got them from Spain, one of the two. Anyway, Decathlon, and they were about £45, which is absolutely nothing compared to some of the boots that you can buy, like branded boots, like really high branded boots. But I bought these because I was a bit skint, so I spent £45, but they've lasted us. I've done loads of walks, did loads of mountains, did Helvellyn, Ben Nevis, Snowdon, did the West Island Way, I did loads and loads of other walks in Ibiza as well, and I'm not afraid to get these dirty either, so but I do try and keep them clean, but I'm not afraid to walk in puddles and stuff. But they are waterproof, but obviously this little bit here in the middle, this meshy bit, isn't waterproof, so if you dipped your foot in a lake or something, you would probably get a wet top foot. But these are absolutely unbelievable. I'm thinking about getting another pair of these, but definitely Quentua, I'll definitely splash out with only 45 quid on some of them. My trousers, now there's loads of speculation on whether I should wear these for mountain treks and stuff like that. But these are just work trousers, sight. Those of you who work in construction will probably recognise these. They're not meant for like the mountains and stuff. They're quite heavy and quite bulky. But as you can see, I don't travel light, and I like to pack like little things on when I'm walking. I like to have stuff like available to us like really quick. So these have like loads of pockets. As you can see, if you're familiar with these sort of trousers, you'll know what I mean. They've got pockets around the back. They've got a belt. You can put a belt on here. They've got loads of stuff. Normally you'd put a hammer in there or something. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, there's just pockets everywhere. So I actually like these. And if I'm walking up a mountain, I normally use me Rab trousers, which I spent a fortune on. But I thought I'm going to be walking for hours and hours on end every single day, and I don't really want that much stuff on my back. So how about have it around your legs, because your legs are the most powerful muscle on your body. So yeah, so I'm going to hang these up on this washing line, because these are a bit wet. Let's have a look. I'll hang hang them up there. I don't know whether you can see them in shot, but whilst you gather your thoughts on them trousers, I'm just going to have another sip of this tea. Now you think about them trousers really hard because this tea's good. Right, so this is just, I've got this out because I've got all my electrical stuff out. And this is what I kept all my electrical stuff in, which is just a Sea to Summit dry bag, lightweight. And I just shoved all my electrical stuff in there. So I had like the camera that you're watching now through now. I had me, at night I put my phone in it. If it was raining really bad, I don't know, maybe take my watch off and put it in, because that's not waterproof. And just anything electrical really. I had me tripod in there, little mini tripod. I had all my USB cables. I'm currently using an Anker power bank, which is the 21,000 mAh, I think it is, or something like that. That was unbelievable. I actually charged it halfway through the trip, but I'll put a little picture of it, or a little video of that up whilst I'm talking about it. But I'd strongly recommend any Anker products. Everything I've ever had has always just been bang on. So that's the dry bag that I had all the electrical stuff in. And on one particular night it was raining really bad, and I basically just put that at the bottom of my sleeping bag next to my feet, because the heat's always going to contain at the bottom of your sleeping bag because there's no way out. So I put that down there just in case, because I was a bit worried, but I didn't actually need to, but you never know. So as you can imagine, I didn't carry this for much time, because there was a lot of stuff hanging off it. So I'm going to take you through this. I'll take this off. A good idea is, if you do go trekking for long periods of time, maybe as you can see, this is a Bergen, so it's not like a mountaineering pack, but it's got a lot. It's a molly bag, so it's got a lot of attachments. So I just put a few carabiners on there, and then I attached a few bags to it. But it's a bit tricky getting them off. But if you bear with us, I might fast forward this bit. I think I'll probably fast forward this bit. I might leave it in, just let it struggle. I've struggled enough. If you've ever had the piss took out of you by carabiners, you'll understand. Right. I'll take this one off whilst I'm at it, because I know you're enjoying watching this. Look at that. All done in half an hour. Right, so in here I had, right, let's have a look. So in here I had some of my tent. So this is my tent pegs. No, they're not tent pegs, they're tent poles. This is my tent footprint. Now the tent I used was the Alp Kit Kangri. You'll see a video of us putting it together here. I can't knock this tent, if I'm honest. It's rated as a 4-season tent. These are the pegs. I took extra pegs. I took extra everything. So the Alp Kit Kangri is a 4-season tent. It's listed as a 2-person tent, but you could easily fit 3 people in there, and maybe even a small child, if you've got a small child. If you haven't, what have you got one in your tent for? But anyway, so and then I had the thermarest lite sleeping mat, which I'm really glad I bought, but I've realised that I like my comforts too much, so I might actually in future invest in an air mattress. I think it's like Trekology do one. I'm not sure which one, but the reason I got this was because I tried to make the trip as stress-free as possible, especially when it came to night time, because when it gets dark and it's raining, your morale's down and you're cold, then the last thing you want is your sleeping system to fail on you. And you can't get any holes in this. Well, you can punch a hole straight through it if you want, but it's not going to affect the mat itself. But if you have an airbed and you get a hole in, and it's in the middle of the night and it's freezing, and you're in Scotland and it's like 0 degrees or whatever, as soon as that mattress goes down, you're sleeping on the floor, and then that's like really dangerous territory. You're probably going to have to get up and get out of there. So I didn't want any of that to happen. I just didn't want to. So I got this anyway. So that's the Lite sleep. There's thermarest, the Lite foam pad. What else was in here? Absolutely nothing. So that was the bag that the tent came in. The rest of the tent's actually in here. I'm going to take you through this before we get into the bag itself. So in here is the Kamui, I don't know how you pronounce that, Kamui, camping chair, and you'll see a video that I put up about the camping chair. Again, I just like me home. I like me comfort, so it's not something that most people take, a camping chair, but I knew that I was going to get my bag carried at some point. I was going to try my best to carry it myself, which lasted all of one day. 2 days actually, but this is the camping chair. And when the weather was good at night and I pitched up the tent, it was just good to just have like a little camping chair. And I thought if it was wet and it rained during the day, then I would always just have a camping chair to just sort of like be off the floor and away from the bugs and stuff like that. But anyway, that's the camping chair, which I ended up in the end putting me dirty washing. But you don't need to see that. In fact, you want a close up? No, it's all right. So that was that. That was the camping chair. Right, let's get into the Bergen itself. We'll go into the top first. So in the top, I had essentials, which was my first aid kit. A lot of you who are watching this will probably think, wow, that's a massive first aid kit. But remember, I'm getting this stuff carried, so I could take a little bit more and more bigger stuff than I would have normally, because I was getting my bag carried anyway. So in there, I had... I sort of emptied this before I went and just put my own stuff in. It comes with a lot of... This is the Technicals Deluxe first aid kit, but I took everything out because you get a ridiculous amount of plasters. But I mean, you've only got 10 fingers, and how many times do you cut every single finger in like a week? So I took maybe like 3 or 4 plasters. I took the rest of them out. What I did buy from Amazon was some spray bottles, and I bought the Avon Skin So Soft for the midges, and the midges were really, really bad at one point. Like,
it's full of these little bastards called midges. Absolutely loads of them. Now when I say loads, I'm not talking about, oh, they've got 5 round my face. Like, we're talking like swarms of them. Like, not even in the thousands or even hundreds of thousands, we're talking millions, possibly even billions, like probably trillions, probably gazillions.
Like really bad, like to the point where I didn't want to be there. I've got some KT tape, which I never used, but I was if it was a 2-week trip or a 10-day trip, I would have definitely have had to use that. Plasters in there. I'll do a separate video for this anyway, for the first aid kit, and I'll cut that bit out. So that's the first aid kit. I decided to buy the West Island Way official passport, which proved to be a complete waste of £5 because nothing to do with the passport itself, but just to do with me and my laziness. So the first day I got there, I got the passport stamped in Mulgai. And even from the off, it was a bit difficult to find the place to get this stamped. It was in Mulgai. It's like the pet shop, which was sort of like 200 to 300 meters away from the starting point, which was fine on the first day because I was in abundance of energy. But as the trail went on, as the West Island Way went on, I lost sort of interest in finding the places because I was just so tired. And when I got to the place where I was staying, I just wanted to find my bag, which was really heavy, and walk somewhere to pitch up. So the last thing I want to do is to like search around for a place for that. So just watch out for that. If you go on if you're an experienced walker and you fancy doing that, then fair enough. But if you're sort of having a heavy pack and stuff, and you're wild camping and you sort of don't know the area very well, you just remember that you're going to have to walk about looking for a place to get this stamped. So that's a shame I didn't actually do that, but that's all right.
Just tell me when.
Go for it.
There we go. Welcome to the travel in.
Thank you very much. Right, I didn't use a lot of the stuff, but I would still take it again, even though I didn't use it, because if I came into a problem that I needed something like this, which is gaffer tape, this is from Go Outdoors, you can buy like a little miniature one, I would have had to use it. Like, say for example, if I got a hole in the bag or something, or even a hole in the tent, I could have put this gaffer tape, because you can you can hang a car from this, or hang anything. So that could have come in really handy if I needed it, but I didn't need it, because probably I got my bag carried. So that's the gaffer tape. This is a torch, OEX torch. It's quite cool actually. It's got this feature where you can sort of pull it out, which makes the light more focused in, and then if you push it back, then it sort of like spreads it out, the light. That's cool. I didn't actually use that because as soon as I battened down the hatches in the tent, I didn't go out. If I'd have needed a wee in the middle of the night, I probably would have used this, but I didn't, luckily, because I used me noggin and went for the toilet before I went into the tent. So that's the torch. This is just a little business card that I got given on the way. This is something that I would probably take. So this is like a little mini soap. And on one of the campsites, I think it was Being Glass campsite, I had a shower, and I went into the shop and I bought a couple of these. I thought that was a good idea. Just if you needed a shower or I didn't sweat too much, but there was a lot of people sweating. I'm not the type of person who sweats very much, so I was okay. But a lot of people, when I was meeting up with them on the trail, were like really sweating like profusely. So they were sort of going into the locks and the rivers and sort of just like washing their faces down. So that would be a good idea actually if you brought like a little miniature soap, but maybe double check that there's no chemicals and stuff in there. If you're going to use them in something like a lock, you don't really want to lather up the lock, do you know what I mean, with the soap. So that's a soap. Earplugs. I actually used these once for about 20 minutes. And to be honest with you, the reason I used them was because I was wild camping and some drunken idiots came and sort of were just ridiculously loud. I thought I was going to end up using them because of the noises and the rain, but actually I ended up using them because of just selfish humans. So that's earplugs. Always good to have them, because if it starts to lash it down, which it did one night and I couldn't sleep, but that was because I was sleeping on tree roots. But if you're sort of comfy in your bed and it starts raining, the last thing you want is to not be able to sleep because of the noise of the rain hitting the tent. So take some earplugs. That would be a really good idea. Now, I did take a spare shoelace. When have you ever snapped a shoelace? I hear you say, like, I've never ever snapped a shoelace ever in my life. But imagine if you did, and you were sort of like 10 miles either way away from any civilization, in the mountains, in the Highlands of Scotland, and it's raining. What would you do? Like, that would be absolute hell. So I did take this, and I was planning on using it as like a washing line, but I didn't end up washing my clothes, so I didn't use it. But I would strongly recommend you taking at least just one bootlace, a spare bootlace, because you never know if you do need it. Or maybe even if you come across someone who's struggling, who's snapped a bootlace, you could just give them it. That would be a really good thing to do. More soap, because it's good to be clean, which I never used. But anyway, right, so that's that. We'll close that. And we'll go into the side pouches. Let's go into the side pouches. So in here, we have my cooking system, which I chose the Kettle. Because my girlfriend got us it for my birthday. And I'm a sucker for authenticity, but I'm an idiot for carrying a lot of gear. And it's very, very bulky. So in hindsight, if I was to do the West Highland way again, I wouldn't take this. Reason being, because if I was getting my stuff carried, it's okay because it's bulky and it's heavy, but it's fine because you're getting your stuff carried. do fancy an ice cream actually, but I'll have a sip of tea instead. Yeah, I would probably in future, if I was going on long distance hikes for days on end, I would use something like, there's loads of different ones you can get, like Jet Boy Flash, like that sort of thing. I know Alkit do a brew kit, which is probably something that would go for. Torx is a good lightweighted titanium brand that do loads of, it's like, so you buy like a gas canister and it's that sort of thing. I would probably take something like that because, not only for the weight, but on a couple of the nights it rained, on one of the nights it absolutely lashed it down, and it started at like 6 o'clock. So that particular night I didn't eat. I actually just forced myself to go to bed, and I just didn't eat at all because I couldn't, because it was this. If you're familiar with the Kettle, I'll put a little video up. You have to sort of create a little bit of a fire in a fire pit that it gives you in a fire pot, and you have to forage the twigs and the kindling and the firewood basically. So in a rainy situation, you can't use it, or you have to sort of really, really struggle. And after 10 hours of walking in the Highlands, you don't. I mean, the first time I used it on one of the days, about half an hour before I got to camp, where I was camping, I started just like picking up little bits of pine cones and I put them in my pockets and stuff, which is great, but it does add to the weight of what you're carrying. And I got like little bits of twigs and stuff, and then I got to the campsite and I started snapping them, and I made it work, and it was great. But then, as the trail got on, I got more and more tired, and the weather became a little bit bad, and you just didn't want to just have to go and look for wood, and sort of, because there's no wood on the trail all the time. You sometimes have to go off on it, or like sort of go off the trail like a couple of 100 meters, and then come back with more wood, and it was just a bit of a, yeah. But I do actually really love this, and I would anyone who hasn't got one, I would definitely recommend just getting one, even if you're not into camping, get one, because they're absolutely class. I'll have a Knickerbocker Glory, please. It's a football song. Match of the day, that's the one, yeah. I did take a Sure for Men spray. I actually forgot to take one, and then on the last minute I was like, right, I'm just going to get one. There's probably better stuff that you can buy to take on a long distance walk than aerosol sprays, because it's probably bad for the environment. If anyone's watching and post in the comments a little bit of a link or something to something better than this. But I was just very, very quickly, I just needed to grab something, and I grabbed this. But yeah, so that for the pit spray, and also shoes at night. Walking for 10 hours, your shoes stink, do you know what I mean? And you can't just leave them outside if it's raining, you have to bring them in, or leave them in the vestibule. And your socks, my socks, I had dry them on like in a little line in the tent, and your tent ends up stinking. Do you know what I mean? So having to spray this around a little bit was actually good. But yeah, if you can think of anything better, anyone who's watching, post a link in the comments. So that's me pit spray. Bog roll. Definitely take bog roll, because when you need the toilet and you're in the middle of them Highlands, you've got to go. Do you know what I mean? You've got another 5 hours to go. What are you supposed to do? And there's one thing I've learned from this trip, and I did actually come up with this beforehand from the mountain walks, is to have you need to have morale at the highest point at all times, because when something bad happens, which a few things happened that really got us down, if your morale is already down, then you're going to get knocked for six. So if your morale's already up and something bad happens, then at least you've still got like a little bit of morale to play with. I know that might sound a bit daft, like talking about morale in like sort of like as if it's like a thing, but it is a physical thing, because it affects you physically and mentally. So always take bog roll, because when it strikes, you can use it. Always dig a hole though. These are my car keys, which I took along for the ride for absolutely no reason because I didn't even have a car, but by accident I just put them in. So yeah, always good to take a set of car keys that you don't need. This was my flask of Wolfburn whiskey, which unfortunately I didn't drink very much of. I ended up having a herbal tea. I had like a brew most nights, and I sort of put a little bit of whiskey in, and it was actually quite nice. But yeah, this was just like a bit of a luxury item, really. You don't need whiskey. You don't need any form of alcohol, really. But I just thought it would be good for authenticity and a little bit of a sort of like, how can I say, little morale boost before bed. Just like, oh, I've got a little bit of whiskey, and I got this from Wick, which is past Thurso, at the very, very top of Scotland near John O'Groats. It's the highest distillery you can go to in the UK. That's Wolfburn whiskey, which absolutely blows your socks off. I didn't need all these, but again, I was getting my bag carried, so I just brought them. I bought some and I put them in my bag. These are firelighters. Again, there was one particular night that I used the Kettle, and it wasn't raining, but everything was absolutely soaking outside, so there was no way I was going to be able to forage anything. So I just put some firelighters in the fire pit, and boom, it was away. So them are firelighters. I brought some work gloves. I've got firelighter all over them. I brought some work gloves because I knew I was going to be sort of in the outdoors while camping, and I did use these actually quite a lot. Like every time I use the Kettle, I use these because there's not an abundance places to wash your hands when you're wild camping and like walking the Highlands of Scotland. So it's good to have these to get dirty when you're sort of foraging stuff. And also when you're just picking stuff up in the dark and stuff, like when you're sort of packing away, it's just good to have these because you never know. There's loads of nettles around and stuff like that, so you don't want to get stung. Morale is key. So these are some like work gloves, just like stretchy sight gloves that people use in construction. It's always good to take some of them. This is me tea bags. I had them in like a little bit of a sealy dry bag. I took some organic tea. Good for morale every day. So I would definitely recommend them. This is all the pile that I'm putting here is the pile. In fact, let's make a pile of the stuff that I would 100% take again. And then, right, so at the minute we've got the Kettle, which I'm not dissing whatsoever because I absolutely love it. But just on this sort of trail, I probably wouldn't take it. We've got me syringe for me heroin addiction. No, I'm just joking. This is for the Sawyer squeeze, which is the water filter. And I didn't use this because this is to clean it, so I'm going to be doing that now. But I thought I was going to use the water filter quite a lot, hence why I took the cleaning system with us. But the only time I used it was because I actually forced myself to use it, and I forced myself to run out of water. But I didn't need it because on the West Island Way there's just so many places to buy water. It's just unbelievable. But if you're one of these people that you just like to use the lochs and the rivers, then Sawyer squeeze. I bought the micro squeeze because there wasn't very many good reviews on the mini, and I just thought I'd bring the micro squeeze. Yeah, so I got that, and I did use that a couple of times. There'll be a video posted probably whilst I'm banging on about it right now. So I would take that again, but I probably wouldn't take the cleaning system. What else is in here? Absolutely nothing. Right, so that's the end of that one. So in this side pouch we have some more toilet paper. I'll take that again. We have me glasses. So I wear contact lenses, but obviously at night when you're getting up and you need the toilet in the middle of the night and stuff, it's just good to have a pair of just normal glasses. So I would take them again. This is sort of like my little wash bag. I brought a toothbrush. I didn't snap it in half because obviously I didn't need to think about the weight too much. I got toothpaste. I probably wouldn't have took this size, but I couldn't find a little size toothpaste. There's some more ice cream for you. I did bring this little towel, which I got from Go Outdoors. It's a Euro Hike travel towel. It's actually quite big. You could actually get a shower with this and then dry yourself with this, no problem. It's sort of like it's a microfiber, whatever you call it, towel. I ended up using this once, but it weighs nothing. It's sort of like I think it's about 150 grams or something, or it might even be less. So it's probably worth just taking, because you never know. Like, if you never know when you might need it. If you sweat a lot, you might need that to wipe yourself down. So I'd probably take that again. I'll put this. I don't need to fold all this away whilst you're watching. Right. So in here, I had some just like, I wouldn't say this not thermal gloves. These are from Altkit. They're just sort of them sort of gloves. I didn't need them, but I was going to Scotland and I was going to the Highlands, so if I did need them and I didn't have them, I would have been wounded and my morale would have been shot to bits. So I would definitely take these again, just on the off chance that it might be cold, and you never know. So I would definitely take some gloves. I keep trying to sit down. Right, this is, I didn't actually need this either. This is the Miltech. I brought so much stuff that I didn't need, but I would take it again, because if I did need it, it would save me life. So this is the Miltech waterproof cover for your rucksack. This was 130 litres. And the reason I got that was because I had stuff on the outside of my bag, which my bag's a 90 litre bag, but I thought if I get a 90 litre cover, it's not going to fit over all the stuff that's on the outside, and I didn't really want a snug fit. I wanted it to be loose, so I bought that, which I didn't use, but I would take again. That's a waterproof cover for your rucksack. I'd definitely recommend that, especially if you're going to Scotland. This is the micro squeeze water filtration system. I didn't actually use this bit. You can actually fill up a normal bottle of water, just like a normal 500 ml or even a litre bottle or whatever, and you can sort of attach the bottle onto the filter. So I didn't actually need this, but the reason this is good is because it sort of folds up like this and you can just shove it in. The only problem with this is, after a while, I can imagine it would probably get some sort of split in it. So if you're going to use this like 5, 6, 7 times a day, I'd maybe consider getting a 2 of these, or maybe even not using them and sort of carrying a plastic bottle around with you. This is me water. It's just 1 litre. There's still water in it. Let's get some of this tea as well. This looks actually quite heavy, but it's not. When there's no water in it, it's not heavy at all. In hindsight, you know what? The only time I used this was I always made sure it was full, because at night when I picked my bag up off the baggage carriers, it was great to know that I had a litre of water. So as soon as I camped up, no matter where I was, whatever, what time it was, how dark it was, I always had a litre of water in my bag, for either a brew or to make food with, or to just drink, or to just wash my hands, or what. Not that I washed my hands, but if I did, I always had water in my bag. So although you can get water on the way, it's not necessary that you carry water, but it's water, isn't it? So like, you're gonna want to carry water just in case. You never know. So that's the water. In here I had some multivitamins, which I took every morning, apart from a couple of mornings. I can't remember why I didn't, but it was probably because it was raining. When you're on the West Island Way, and you're wild camping, you might not necessarily be getting a lot of nutrition and food in you, because you sort of you're walking so many miles every day. So it's good to maybe have like a multivitamin. I don't really take stuff like this. I'd rather get the vitamins from food, but on this occasion, for a 5 or 6 day trek, I think it's a good idea to sort of get some multivitamins in you every day. Every morning, it's sort of got vitamin E, vitamin D1, B1, B2, lots of different stuff. There's B12 in there, vitamin C. Don't know how true all that is, but anyway, multivitamins. The dehydrated food that I used on the trail was fire pot, and the reason I used them was two reasons. One, because they did a plant-based food. So this one's dal and rice with spinach. I've actually got 2 dal and rice with spinaches left. They do like a vegan bolognese one, which is absolutely banging, by the way. But these actually cook the food themselves and then dehydrate it. So I think there's more quality in the food when it's done that way. Correct us if I'm wrong in the comments, but that's the research. That's what I found from the research that I did. So I'd actually recommend Firepot. I haven't had a bad meal from them. These are really good. This is the West Highland Way Trailblazer book, which I'd recommend if you're going to go on a trek, and it's a well-known trek, especially like the West Highland Way. There's hundreds of books. I'd recommend this one. Not that I've looked at any of the other ones, but this one did as good. There was only one particular bit that I didn't have in, and that was because it wasn't a well-known place to stay, and because I was wild camping, I had to go to certain places. So this is more of like everything you need to know, especially tourist-wise, is in here. I'd strongly recommend these books. They've got some cool little maps on them, with like little bits. There's loads of maps in there, and they've got like little nice pictures and stuff. They've got places to stay. They've got like pubs and bar foods of all the places, things that you can do in the places. What else? There's loads of stuff in there. I definitely recommend the Trailblazer books. What else have we got in here? We've got sun cream. We're not even in the main compartment of the bag yet. So we've got sun cream. I definitely recommend that. I know you're in Scotland, but you are walking through the Highlands, and there's no place to sort of shelter. Me Leatherman. I'd take this everywhere I possibly can, without breaking the law, obviously, because it is a knife. But this is the Leatherman Charge titanium, and I would just not necessarily get this particular one, but like any multi-tool I think is absolutely essential on trips like this, because you never know what you like. This has got a saw on it, this, right? Okay, and you might think, why the hell would I need to use a saw? But on one of the nights, I was foraging some wood for the Kelly kettle, and I couldn't find any like small pieces of wood. So I ended up getting these like big pieces, and when I was going to snap them, they were quite tough. So I was using my knee to snap them, but then it got so small for about that big. I couldn't snap it on my knee, and I wanted to use the wood because it was the only wood that I could find. So I just used the saw to like saw a little, like halfway through, and then I went on my knee, and then it snapped quite easily. So and as well, if you take a multi-tool with you, you might not think I'm going to use a saw, do you know what I mean? But you find a way to use them, and it's just, again, good for morale, because otherwise I would have had to throw that stick away and get a new one. So multi-tool, 100%. Camping light, this is a bit overkill, I know, but I bought it and I wanted to take it, so this is my camping light. Still works. There's a mask in there which I didn't use. These are, I didn't realise I had one of these. I was starving on the first day, on the last day, and I had this all along. So these are just like little, this is like a gluten, wheat, dairy-free, cocoa, orange, naked thing. Like a little breakfast bar thing. I would definitely recommend you taking these for just like during the day when you have your break. So I basically walked 2.5 hours, and then I had a 15-minute break. Depending on how I felt, sometimes I had a 20-minute break. But regardless of how I felt, I always took a break. And I would strongly recommend that, because the first 2 days I didn't do that, and I was just plodding on. Because the first 2 days you're full of energy and you're full of morale and you're full of vitamins and good food that you've had from the weeks previous to the trip. and you don't feel like you're struggling at all, but it's them times that you don't take a rest when we feeling fine that screw you over later on, because it's pain and damage is a gradual thing. It's not just instant. You're not just instantly in bad pain. And I soon found out on the third day that I was in a lot of pain, but on the third day I wasn't carrying anything, so I was very confused. But then I quickly realised that I'd done a lot of damage in the first 2 days of carrying this bad boy. So definitely recommend some of these for just like little nibbles on your brakes. Right, we're gonna get into the main compartment now. How many people's he got in there? I hear you say. Right, so in this bit I had just some spare cash just in case I needed it. I had my credit card. I had a couple of lighters. I'd definitely recommend taking at least 2 lighters, because if one fails on you or one gets wet, especially something like this, like a flint, then you're a bit screwed. I took 4 lighters because they weigh nothing, and I just took 4 of them. But I used 2 of them. I had my contact lenses in here, obviously. That's so I can see where I'm going. Vaseline. I would strongly recommend some Vaseline, because at night you can sort of put them on your feet. If you start getting hard skin on your feet, you can sort of put them on. And it just feels nice, and you put your socks on when you get a camp. That's all I had in here. That was it. So this was in here. I have let's have a look. So in here I had the remainder of the tent. So that goes there. So them are the fly sheet and the inner sheet and then I had my sleeping bag, the Rab Solar 4, which is a 4-season sleeping bag. In hindsight, I probably didn't need a 4-season sleeping bag, because the weather wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It did rain a few times, but it wasn't cold. And I've never actually tried this, but I can imagine it'll work a treat. If you're going to come into sort of like anything below 5 degrees at night, I would maybe use a 3-season sleeping bag and maybe sleep in some thermals or sleep in your down jacket or something like that, rather than splash out, or maybe even get a liner. But I'm glad I got that anyway, because I've always got it now. It's a 4-season sleeping bag, and it's the Solar 4, and I'm not joking, I was absolutely toasty every single night. Unbelievable sleeping bag, that. I have my waterproof, this is from Decathlon as well. This is the Sailing Team Key 8 HDY 36. And to be honest with you, if I'm going to buy a waterproof, I know you've got a lot of Gore-Tex and stuff and that out at the minute, but to be honest with you, if I'm going to buy a waterproof coat or jacket, if it's good enough for the sailors, people who would go out to sea and work on rigs and stuff, then why wouldn't it be good enough for me? Do you know what I mean? So I would strongly recommend having a look at not just the Gore-Tex stuff, but maybe even like sailors, like a sailing company, like clothing brand. So that was that did us proud. That's always done us proud. That actually, that's me waterproof. This was just like a little thin military. It sort of goes over your head and comes down over your neck. It was just, it's good because it sort of sits here. And if I did want to go into any shops or restaurants or anything like that, I sort of just pulled it up and used it as a mask. And it just saved us from having it wrapped around my ears, you know, like them masks that really do your head in, or your ears in, should I say. And this acts as a really good, just like a really good scarf, or you can sort of pull it up onto your head and use it as like a little bit of a hat. This is me fleece. It's a Craghoppers. I don't know if what model it is, but this is the Craghoppers fleece. I'd strongly recommend that. What I did was I had a base layer. All my base layers are merino wool. I'm just a sucker for merino wool. I just think it's really light, it's really comfy, and not only that, but if you're using something as a base layer, you want your body sweat to be able to come out of you but then go out into the air and evaporate. And merino wool lets that happen. If I was to put something like this straight onto my skin, or something like cotton, it would just absorb the sweat and then just be wet. So that's no good. That if it starts like raining, you don't want that to happen. You want the sweat to be able to sort of go back into the air. So I have my merino base layer, and then if I get a bit nippy, I put this fleece over the top of that. And I was pretty much okay, apart from a couple of times when it rained when I put me waterproof on. And then if it gets too windy, I put me Rab. This is it's not down, it's synthetic down, but this is the Rab Cirrus, I think it is. Cirrus, yeah, Cirrus, and it's sort of synthetic down. And the reason I got this, you pick this up from Go Outdoors as well. The reason I got this and not down is because I am a bit clumsy, and if I was to get down wet, then it's going to take ages drying, and I'm probably going to be a bit screwed for a few days until it dries. Whereas this, the synthetic down, does dry much quicker. So that was good, especially for around camp. So when you're camping up and the wind's blowing at night, it's good to just put that over your pyjamas or whatever you're sleeping in. And yeah, that was great. That I'd strongly recommend a Rab Cirrus jacket. So we're getting towards the end here. This is the Smidge head net. Now, those of you who are not familiar with Scotland midges, I know everyone bangs on about them, honestly, right? And it's a bit boring at times because people are going on and on at them, and you're just like, well, it's just midges, do you know what I mean? But I experienced one particular day where it was absolute hell. I don't know, can you remember the film years ago? I think it was like a 90s film called Birds. Well, the producers should get together and make another one called Midges, because honestly, when I say a lot of midges, I'm talking like billions and billions and billions of midges. They just swarms, like absolute swarms. And I got bit like a few times around here, and then I didn't realise until I got back home actually that I got bit. Like, in fact, you can still see some of the bites that I had there. And they just get everywhere, man. Like, they didn't get in my pants, but I'm sure that they clearly tried. But who would blame them? Do you know what I mean? But anyway, I'd definitely recommend the Smidge. I did get, I can't remember what brand it was. I don't know whether it was Life Systems. I don't know. Don't quote us on that. But I got a head net from Go Outdoors, and it was black, and it was great up until that point, and then some of the midges actually got in, which is sort of absolutely insane, because you've got one job is to keep the midges out, and some of the midges actually got in. I don't know whether they were already on my face and I pulled the head net on, but they somehow got in. Whereas with this one, Smidge, and they actually sold this in Scotland. This is a green one, and it hasn't got a toggle, but it's got like sort of like an elasticated neck thing. So when you pull it over, it sort of like nips into your neck, which sort of stops them from coming in. So that I would definitely recommend 100%. Do not go to Scotland in the summer without a midgie net, because you will suffer, and you will 100% waste your time and have to come home. Trust us. So a head net for the midgies is an absolutely essential. I've sort of lost track on where I'm putting all this stuff. Okay, so we're into the last 3 dry bags. So in here I had my socks and pants, me dry socks and pants, anything that was sort of for my feet were in here. Now, those of you who've watched the video and know me well will know that I've got one leg bigger than the other slightly, and I wear a compression sock to keep the swelling down. But I would recommend taking a compression sock anyway, no matter what feet you've got, because if you do go down on your ankle or you sprain your ankle, or it's good to maybe have like a compression sock to give you a little bit of more support. And not only that, but you can sort of pull it up over your knee if you needed to. If you sort of like was struggling with like your knees and your balance and stuff, you could sort of pull that up there. So I'd definitely, you're walking around, so you want your legs and your feet to be as tip top as possible. But always good to keep your socks in a dry bag, and if they get too wet, you can always put them in your sleeping bag at the bottom, where your feet are, overnight, and it would keep them nice and warm. So it was always good to get to camp and put like a new fresh pair of socks on. I did actually take so I had my base layer socks, which were these merino wool, really thin, like super thin. Look, I can actually see you through there. And then for over the top, I used these Bridgedale socks, which I'd buy them again 100%. They're a bit expensive. I think they're about £17 for one pair, or it might even be £20 for one pair from Go Outdoors. But these are great. Like that, they're actually inside out then. But if I turn them around, so they're Bridgedale, and they've got a little bit of padding here, a little bit, and a little bit of padding here, and a little bit of padding on the bottom, which is great, and even a little bit of padding on the back of your ankle there. So it's like, it's not padding as in like thick padding, but it's just a little bit thicker than the rest of the sock, and it's all the pressure points. And to be honest, I didn't get any blisters on the back of my ankle. I had some problems with my feet later on, as you probably, if you watch the video, you'll understand. But yeah, that's the socks, the sock bag. I definitely recommend doing that. And this is just my clothes bag. So in here I had everything from obviously big bulky clothes which just went in as on their own, but in here I had things like what I slept in, like my pajamas. I had this is what I trekked in. This is the base layer. This is by Northridge, again merino wool, so I can see you through there. This went onto my skin. This is base layer, and I wore this most days. And for the colder days, I had a long sleeve version of that. These were some shorts, and basically, I didn't actually wear the shorts because I was just frightened of the midges like getting on my legs. But it was good around camp after setting up to put my sort of like thermal, like thin merino thermals on, and then I sort of put these over the top to walk around camp, and that was good. So I'd recommend taking a pair of shorts. And the last thing in this bag is a luxury item, which is a pillow. So this is me. I love this pillow. So I get like little problems with my neck and stuff at night, and I think when you're walking 10 hours a day, you want to be able to sleep good, because ultimately that's going to make you feel good the next day, ready for the trek. So this is a bit bulky. It is a bit bulky, and it's 0.7 kilograms, I think. So it's like over half a kilo. It's the Alcamto memory foam pillow, and honestly, right. So I planned a wild camp most of the trip, but I came into a few problems on the third day, just with pain and stuff, because I was carrying so much stuff, and I ended up hiring a chalet at Bergen. Unbelievable campsite that, by the way. I wanted to stay there for longer, but I needed to finish the trail. So I stayed there for one day, which was an extra day that I planned to do anyway. And they had lovely pillows, like lovely feathered pillows. But I actually threw the feather pillows on the floor, and I used this, which I'd been using in my tent. And it's memory foam, and it just folds up. And there you go. And I would strongly recommend, if you struggle with sleeping, with neck pain or back pain or anything like that, and you normally use a memory foam pillow in the house at home, then I would strongly recommend getting one of these, the Alcamto. I think they're about, I can't remember whether it was 26 or 36 pound, but it's money well spent if you struggle with pain when you sleep. And you literally, all you do is just roll that back like that, and that just goes back in the bag, no problem. And to tell you the truth, I'll tell you a little bit of a story of how I use this. So earlier on, I did mention that one of the nights I didn't get very much sleep because I was sleeping on tree roots. So I only realised this in the middle of the night when it was too late and it was lashing it down with rain. I couldn't move. So I realised, I just accepted that I wasn't going to get any sleep because I was on a lot of different tree roots and it was all intertwining each other and I just couldn't sleep. And because the thermarest Lite foam sleeping pad is quite thin, it's not an airbed, so it doesn't provide very much comfort, but it keeps you away from the ground, which is the most important thing. But it doesn't provide a lot of comfort, so I felt everything. So what I did was I got this pillow, and I put it underneath me hips because I sort of sleep on my side, and it's really difficult to sleep on tree roots. So I put the pillow underneath me hip, and I slept on that. And what I did was I got my Rab synthetic down jacket, and I stuffed that into my big, this one here. I stuffed that into this big dry bag, and I sort of stuffed it down, fastened it, got a lot of the air out, and used that as a pillow. So I did utilise my stuff that way, but that actually saved me life that night, and I managed to get 2.5 hours sleep. But up until that point, it was about 4 o'clock, 4:30. I didn't have any sleep whatsoever. So even if you might think, oh, it's a completely luxury item, but if you get to where you're pitching your tent and it's absolutely lashing it down, you're not going to get down and lie on the grass and go, oh, I think it's flat enough here, because it's soaking and the midges are out as well, so you're trying to really be fast about pitching your tent. So I just pitched it up anywhere, do you know what I mean? And then it wasn't until I got in the middle of the night and I realised that I'd pitched up on tree roots. So hadn't I brought that, I don't know what I would have done. I wouldn't have been able to sleep. 100% I wouldn't have got any sleep whatsoever. And then the next day it would have been even worse than it actually was, just on 2.5 hours sleep. So yeah, but if you don't struggle with pain with sleeping and with your neck, and you don't need a pillow, and you think it's a bit over the top, then what you can do is utilise your down jacket, because ultimately at the end of the day people have down feathered pillows, right? So that's all this is pretty much. If you've got a down jacket, stuff it in a dry bag, get the air out, and use it as a pillow. So there's a bit of tip. That, ladies and gentlemen, is free. You can have that tip free from me. So that's all my stuff, and obviously the bag that I took was a Bergen. It's the Kombat Assault Pack, 90 litres. These pouches actually come off, so if you're bothered about weight, these pouches in total weigh about 0.5 kilograms, so you can take these pouches off and just use the middle bit, which is 70 kilograms, 70 litres. Or for extra protection, you can put these you can use these as dry bags, so you could put these inside there, which is what I did at some points. But if there's a little bits of tips that I can give you, is the pillow situation. If you don't struggle to use a down jacket in a dry bag for a pillow, and if you're going to do the West Highland way and you want to take everything and the kitchen sink, which is what I did, then you utilise the baggage carriers, because if it wasn't for them, I used one called Baggage Freedom, but there's loads of other ones, and they absolutely saved me life. I would definitely, if I was to do it again, I would give them everything and not carry anything apart from what I need, which is if you're walking through the Highlands, all you need is your clothes and your waterproof. That's all you need, and your boots. Set aside from that, you don't, and maybe some water. But if you take the squeeze, this filter, that's all you need. You don't need anything else. Like I took me Leatherman. I had me Leatherman attached to me belt of me trousers, and that's it. You don't really need anything, and I know this because the first day I carried it all and I didn't use it. I even carried the Kettle around because I thought I'd find a little place by the lock and I'd make some food and stuff. But you just don't do that. You just want to get to where you are, because where you're going to is where you're going to be able to use all your stuff. And if it's beaten down with rain, or even if it's beaten down sunny, you just want to crack on. You're there to see the Highlands. You're not there to sort of stop every single minute and use all this gear that you're carrying. So that's all of my stuff. I won't bore you with me putting all of this stuff away. So thanks very much for watching, and I hope you found some tips And please comment in the comment section. I don't know where else you would comment, like, but comment in the comment section with any tips or what you think of this video, and if it's helped you in any way, then that's a bonus. So thanks very much. That's the end.
20 minutes.
How long?
That was about an hour and 20 minutes.
Oops. And that's it.